Good morning, everyone. Today is March 3rd, 2026, and this is the City of Prescott Council Subcommittee on Water Issues. Roll call, please.
Chair Rusing.
Here.
Member Fruworth.
Here.
Member Gehring.
Here.
All are present.
Okay, next item.
First item, approval of the February 3rd, 2026 Council Subcommittee on Water Issues meeting minutes.
Any changes? Please vote. Oh, do I hear a
move
motion?
to accept the motions as presented.
Second. Please vote.
Passes 3-0.
Okay, next item.
Next item is presentation and discussion regarding the 2022 amended water management policy, current residential and non-residential water budget overview for January 1st, 2026 through February 23rd, 2026.
Oh, good morning, Water Issues Subcommittee. I'm Brian Reese. I'm the Water Resources Manager here for the city under the Community Development Department. So per your amended 2022 Water Policy Guidelines 11 through 13, we establish a semi-annual water budget for residential and non-residential projects. So the budget set for January 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2026 for residential projects was 25 acre feet, and for non-residential projects was also 25 acre feet. So in summary, between January 1st, 2026 and February 23rd, 2026, we did not receive or approve any residential projects, either administratively or through council. So the remaining budget at this point in time is still 25 acre feet for residential. Between that same period, January 1st, 2026 and February 23rd, 2026, 5 new non-residential projects were approved, all of them administratively, for a total of 0.72 acre feet of water. The remaining water in the residential budget is 24.28 acre feet. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with the clicker here. There we go. Okay, and then between January 1st and February 23rd of 2026, one new project was approved under existing contracts. The project was a single-family home located in the Forest Ridge at Hacienda subdivision. So projects under existing contract are not included in the water budget, but are provided here for your reference so that you know what's happening with existing contracts. So that is a summary of what we have for the water budget here for this period so far. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, Brian, I have a question.
Sure.
Under the non-residential projects, Seventh-day Adventist School. You have 0.03 acre feet. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. Okay. And looking at trying to establish, the school is just being expanded in terms of the number of available space for the school. Mm-hmm. And looking at the existing use of the school versus the new use of the school, and just having more classroom availability, it really didn't expand the water use all that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else have questions? Jim?
Mr. Ruiz, is there any effort being made to track actual water usage from the projects that have been approved?
Yes. In a nutshell, there is the ability in the water resource management model, because it's updated every year with all the accounts, all the water accounts that the city has. So we can look at that water use. We use estimates for the first 5 years to allow an account to to adjust and get some data available. But then after that, we can look at the water use on a yearly basis. And in the long-term water management planning that we're doing now, we're contemplating how we can use that tool more effectively to kind of understand how it relates to our demand estimates that we're doing here for you at Water Service Applications, and the potential, some other potential uses such as maybe having it flagged for us when demand exceeds what our estimated demand was, and some protocols and evaluating what we might be able to do with that. So we do it in earnest right now, but we're looking at ability to set up some protocols and procedures to actually utilize it and establish doing it on a yearly basis, semi-yearly basis, in order to help understand our water usage.
So how far in the future do you think it'll be before those are actually established?
Well, we'll get through the long-term planning phase later this year with recommendations coming out of that, and then try to look at getting with our IT and GIS department to put those capabilities into our WORM so we can start using them hopefully next year.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. One of the things also up there, you'll see there's one with a 0 water usage. So another thing that we're trying to contemplate, that office shell building is a tenant in a water service application that was previously already approved. So their water use was already contemplated. So we had to put a 0 there, but we don't. Again, it's one of these things that we're trying to work through because we don't want to really have water service applications with 0 water in them. They get confusing and hard to track. So we're working through a lot of aspects right now to try to see if we can clean this up and make it more efficient.
Okay, any more comments? Thank you.
Next item, WSA 25-037, a water service application submitted by James Griset, location 136, 138, and 140 Montezuma Street, APN 109-02014A.
Okay, yeah, so
Before we start, I just learned yesterday there's been a lawsuit filed. I don't know if the applicant's aware of that. It was filed against Mr. Griset and also the City of Prescott by Prescott Hotel SO LLC. So this puts a whole new light on things, and I'm just wondering if things are going to be tied up in court, should we wait until there's a ruling rather than go ahead and move this water application forward?
So, Madam Mayor, it's true that there has been a lawsuit filed with regard to the hotel. However, as it relates to the water service application, if you want to move forward with it, if this committee feels comfortable moving forward with it, there's nothing preventing you from looking at that WSA today. If you feel like you need more information about the lawsuit prior to making a decision, that's certainly within the purview of this committee, but the fact that the lawsuit exists does not consequently not allow you to consider.
I have a question for Mr. Ruiz. If we move this water application forward to City Council and it's approved, will he be issued a permit and be able to start demoing even though the lawsuit is still in process?
Well, I can't speak for the building permits aspect of it. If council approves the water service application, then he would have that application would exist for 1 year. And per water policy, a permit would have to be actively being pursued within that year in order for that water service to stay active, or it would expire and then the water service application would have to be reapplied for.
Okay. All right, let's proceed.
Okay, so water service application 25-037 is shown here in the red rectangle on Whiskey Row. Existing building, looking at being modified for a new usage as a hotel. So the hotel itself has a total of 47 rooms, has a lobby bar and a fourth floor terrace bar included in it. It also has a ballroom, meeting room complex within it too. So city staff created a demand analysis for this project based on non-residential multipliers obtained from the water resource management model, the WRM. So for this particular project, based on those multipliers, an estimate of 5.6 acre feet per year was established for the proposed building. The project has no proposed landscape component to it. And there's a historic usage for this building established by the WRM at 0.1 acre feet per year. So in summary, you have a 47 room hotel with 2 bars and meeting rooms. Established demand or estimated demand for the building of 5.6 acre feet per year. No landscape component or outdoor water use. Previous usage of 0.1 acre feet gives an estimated total demand for the project at 5.5 acre feet per year. So with that, we do have representative from the applicant here if you have any questions. But that's what I have for you for water service application 25.037. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Brian? Okay, well, let's hear from the applicant.
Good morning, everybody. Just a quick summary of what the hotel has is it does have the 2 bars. It's got the 1 kitchen, but we won't be doing any cooking in that kitchen. It's kind of like Starbucks. They use the Turbo Chef ovens, and the meals are prepackaged, and that's been pretty successful. It's more or less bar food. It's not a restaurant or anything. So there's no natural gas on the property. No hoods are required with this system, and the only hood that might be required is a ventless type hood for to take the steam and stuff off of an oven for baking bread or things like that. So other than that, everything's pretty typical.
Any comments from anybody? As you know, this has been very controversial, and it's hard for us, but we have to do this. So do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I move to approve WSA 25-037.
One quick move to approve recommending.
Yeah.
Sorry, thank you.
to
Recommending
City Council.
forward it to the council, WSA 25037.
Second. Please vote.
Fails, 1 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstain. So
Yeah, the
passes,
abstain counts as a yes, though.
and that makes a pass
2-1.
2-1.
Okay. Thank you.
Next item, WSA 26-005, water service application submitted by Woda Cooper Development, Inc., location between Lakeview Plaza Lane and Mogollon Road, south of Willow Creek Road, a portion of APN 106-20-509, 508, 507A, and 506A.
Okay, so for water service application 26-005, you have the location up on the screen on the vicinity map there, as Corey has just told us. This is a proposed 82-unit multifamily project. So no formal planning action was required for this project through the Land Development Code. And city staff has done a demand estimate based on the multipliers available in the water resource management model. So as shown on the site plan here, the project consists of a building for 82 multifamily units within it, including a parking lot and landscape buffer areas. So using the water resource management model multiplier for multifamily units of 0.12, the estimated demand for the building is 9.8 acre feet per year. Based on the site plan you're seeing in front of you, there's approximately 1 acre of landscape area. And utilizing Arizona Department of Water Resources suggested value for low use plants of 1.5 acre feet per acre per year, we get an estimated outdoor usage of 1.5 acre feet per year for the project. So in summary, we have 82 unit multifamily site with the building's projected demand of 9.8 acre feet, a landscape or outdoor use demand of estimated at 1.5 acre feet, no previous usage, giving us a total demand of 11.5 acre feet. Per our budget summary earlier, we have 25 acre feet left in the budget at this point in time. This would use approximately half of that budget. And we do have a representative for the project here available if you would have any questions for him. But that's what I have for you on this particular project, and I can try to answer any questions you might have at this time also.
Lois?
I do have a question for the applicant when they're ready. Good morning, Mr. Taylor.
Good morning.
So I have a question. I did some work on Woda Cooper development, and I see that they are big in the Midwest in 18 states and the Southeast, and now they have one in Texas, and now this is their first entry into Arizona. So my question was, how will this be managed for the residents that are on site? If they have any concerns, any issues, et cetera, who will they call? What will happen?
I guess I'm not clear on your question.
Will there be local management, a local company taking care of the residents, or will they have to call some 800 number somewhere in the Midwest?
I don't have that information. I'm just
Okay.
here representing Lakeview Plaza and answering any questions.
And questions should be limited to water.
Okay, very good.
I did want to, if I might, mention that this project was actually brought before this committee in November of 23 and approved for 90 units. They weren't able to put together a deal, and it expired. So we're back asking for basically the same project, but now it's 8 fewer units.
And why is that? Why 8 fewer?
Just the fit. They're further into design now, and I'm just to be clear, I'm not the design architect. I'm just representing Lakeview Plaza on this project. But just the way that it laid out, it was 8 fewer units, and it will be workforce housing. They're actually looking at this being more affordable housing units. And when it came in front of WIS in 23, it was approved unanimously and approved by council unanimously also, just FYI.
Lois?
My other question is, in the application, it says there'll be an integrated clubhouse with laundry, fitness, and then I saw one building. So integrated, I guess you mean it's somewhere in the middle or the ends of this building?
Correct. Yep.
Where is it located?
Again, the design is not complete yet. So. It's
Okay.
in that structure.
It will be within the structure?
Correct.
Okay. Is there going to be laundry rooms on each floor or a giant laundry room?
That I
Still
don't
to
know
be
the answer to,
determined?
yeah.
Okay.
Literally all they've done so far is site planning for this project.
I have a question. Maybe you can't answer it,
Yes, ma'am.
but I've been out to the site and there's a giant cut, in the hill. And what are you going to do about stormwater runoff from the roof? And it's because it's basically one building and then just a parking lot. Are you going to have any detention basins, rain gardens to help irrigate that 1 acre of landscaping?
That I can't answer. This site actually has a regional detention infrastructure that was put in to the tune of about $5 million with large tubes underground. So all the detention is handled regionally within Lakeview Plaza.
Okay, so that it's going to be integrated into the whole complex there.
Correct.
Because it does look like it could be a little tricky if we get a big downpour with, the big hill on one side. The water won't have anywhere to run off.
Right. There's pretty significant infrastructure for drainage there.
Okay. Mr. Gehring, any questions?
Yes, I do have a question. I'm interested in the idea of xeriscape type landscaping, which absolutely minimizes irrigation. And I'm just wondering what your reaction would be to being required to do xeriscape landscaping, which would require that the plants be established and then not watered in the future.
It's interesting you should bring that up. I sat, as chairman knows, on the committee reviewing this water policy for the previous mayor, and we discussed that exact thing. So I would be in favor of that. Unfortunately, that's not in the code currently. Mm-hmm. But personally, I would be in favor of that.
Well, then I have a question for the other members of the commission. What would be the procedure to modify our water policy to include that?
Well, it wouldn't be hard. We just have to come up with the wording, bring it to the committee, and then move it on to city council. But I think that's very interesting. I'd be in favor for doing that, where you get the plants established, like cactus, and once they get going, then they'd probably take off on their own. So thank you.
So in part of our long-term water management planning, we are looking at multiple demand management strategies, including code revisions for landscaping, outdoor water use. So we're planning to be bringing strategies and recommendations, and would like to try to bring them all at once, so we can make one code revision maybe, or bring multiple code revisions, but do it all at once based on the recommendations from those long-term water management plans. So that is an aspect that we were looking at this point in time with our planning.
Because with our drought continuing, 30 years, no end in sight, it's obviously the new normal, and we need to look at any way we can save on our acre feet in landscaping.
Yeah, and currently we do per our code they have to use plants, low use water plants per the 5th management plan for the Prescott AMA. So we do have that going for us.
Yeah. Lois?
I have a question for those of us up here. If we don't have a design and we don't know one laundry room, multiple, we don't know any of, why couldn't we today just approve the water for the demand of the number of units and hold off on a decision on the water until we have a policy change, and then based on what that is, come back and approve some level of water? Because this is assuming the whole normal palette of plants, correct? This 1.5 acre feet?
It's assuming the plant requirements per our current code, which requires the use of low water use plants per the 5th management plan.
For the 5th
Prescott
management plan.
AMA.
But what if within a year we end up approving a different water plant palette?
So if
they haven't built yet and they haven't landscaped yet, what would we do? We would just allocate now the full water use?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to think about the procedure for that. We at this point, council is going to approve a WSA, and that gets them through so that they can get their permitting going and they can build their project.
But could we approve a WSA with a lower water amount than they've asked for? We've done it before. We just did it a week or two ago.
You did it a week or two ago.
Last month,
I'm
yeah.
not sure about being able to approve, and I'll defer to city legal if we can require less than what code has in terms of the landscaping requirements.
So we already have the certain landscaping requirements under code. If we, from the city's perspective, requiring less than what the code is, they're already held to the code standard. So if we change code, then that would be something that would be applicable to those applications that come afterwards, not prior to.
So I guess what I'm
But
saying.
the applicant just said he'd be open to xeriscaping.
Yeah. Well, I think that once the project gets up and going, then they can always do the xeriscaping.
Yeah, what I would ask for is that we be reviewed under the current code, and if this body decides to change the code, that we would engage you in that discussion. But while we may not construct for a year, we'll be in design almost immediately. So
Yeah.
the design has to get going now. But we would continue the dialogue with the city if there was some way to reduce that water usage. But I'd also point out that the usage for landscaping is pretty minimal compared to the overall project. It doesn't have a significant impact. I mean, even if we cut it in half, it's only 3/4 of an acre foot that we're reducing the water usage by, which again, we're in favor of, but it's not going to reduce the entire water usage for the whole project significantly. So.
Okay. All righty. Any other comments? Any other comments from the public? Okay, thank you. I'd move to recommend forwarding WSA 26-005 to council for approval.
Second.
Please vote.
Passes 3-0. Next item, WSA 26-002, water service application submitted by Commerce Construction Co. LP, location State Route 89 and Jenna Lane, APN 102-05-033H.
Okay, so water service application 26-002 is for a proposed 371,000 square foot commercial project, plus or minus approximately 371,000 square foot commercial project located within the Deep Well Master Plan area, as shown here on the vicinity map, located north of Pioneer Parkway, west of 89, and south of Jenna Lane when it is extended. Once again, city staff has done a demand estimate for this project using multipliers available in the water resource management model and based off the site plan shown here provided for the project. As you can see, the site is a large, I call it a regional center. I don't know if that's the exact name for it, but a large regional type shopping center with large buildings, medium-sized buildings, and smaller buildings around the peripheral for various types of commercial usage, and retail to banking and restaurants, other usages for this type of center. So based on the size of the buildings and the information provided on the site plan, we utilized existing accounts from the water resource management model to try to estimate the usage for this particular project. With that, we came out with, for the buildings portion of it, 20.3 acre feet per year of water of usage. Based on the site plan, there's approximately 5.1 acre feet of landscaping. And again, using the Arizona Department of Water Resources suggested 1.5 acre feet per acre per year of water usage for low-use plants, we estimate approximately 7.6 acre-feet per year of outdoor water usage, for a total of 27.9 acre-feet per year for this project. So per water policy guideline number 14, no single water service application shall be approved with estimates greater than 50% of the remaining semi-annual budget. Projects that request more than 50% of the budget have a couple of choices. They can wait for another budget period until there's enough water within the budget, or they may request an appeal of the 50% rule. So with the appeal request, the applicant should demonstrate that the benefits to the city, such as job growth, wages, sales tax, economic impact, and other benefits. All such requests shall be reviewed by the Water Issues Subcommittee and Council. And if City Council grants an appeal, the amount of water granted in the appeal would be included in the annual water assessment to City Council, but is not removed from the semi-annual budgets. So the applicant has requested an appeal of the 50% rule for this project. In your agenda packet was a copy of the benefit letter that they had prepared. The applicant is here to represent the project and available for any questions you might have. That's what I have for you on this particular project. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have too.
Yeah. I was looking at the plat, and what is that large green area that looks like turf? What is it? Says, I can't read it on the plat. It said water something.
Yeah, I think it's where they're planning to use their stormwater features, but they can verify for me.
Okay. All righty. Thank you.
That is stormwater detention.
Yeah. Let's hear from the applicant.
Hi, good morning. Jim Hardison with Commerce Construction. That large green area is, it's labeled as a water quality, but that is our detention to capture stormwater for that development.
Okay, thank you. Lois?
As a follow-up, I understand this is a 20-acre, what's the size of this complex in total?
It's approximately 40 acres.
40 acres. So we've got 5 acres worth of, 5.1 acres of landscape area. Are we really going to landscape all of this, like all the little green islands I see at the end of the parking? Is there going to be like a tree? Is there going to be plants? What are you exactly doing?
We'll need to follow both the city code and also the master plan for Deepwell Ranch with regard to landscaping.
Okay. All right.
Cost-wise, we'll prefer to do I said, in terms of cost of the project, obviously we want to minimize that to the best of our ability, but we'll need to follow both the city code and the Depot Ranch master plan.
And the exterior, like along the highway, et cetera, right now it looks like you're just leaving it pretty natural. Is that the
Correct.
plan?
That is
Wonderful.
correct.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, with our rising temperatures, it's good to have some greenery, some trees to break up that large parking lot. It becomes a heat island. And so it's kind of a good idea, I think, to have some greenery to break it up. But this sounds like we're getting some services, maybe a grocery store to North Prescott. This is something that I think I was reviewing the economic cost-benefit analysis. Is there anyone that would like to speak to that?
Good morning. My name is Tom Casalino. I'm with Majestic Realty. We're the parent of Commerce Construction. So as you can see, this is an open air power center. It will have national and regional tenants in their big box concepts. It'll also have an area, a district and area with small shops and restaurants, areas where shoppers can come and spend some time, cup of coffee, lunch, and just hang out at the center. So we're projecting that we've gone through a number of analysis and used the International Shopping Center Council's information. We're projecting to generate about $4 million in sales tax. In addition to that, another maybe about $580,000 in property tax for the city. So I think those are two big benefits that this project will bring. In addition to that, again, based on our research, we anticipate approximately 800 permanent jobs for the city. So I think those are the key components of the benefit letter that we submitted.
And how long do you think it'll take to get this up and running?
Well, we're right now we're going through our entitlement process step by step, and we've got to work through the city and through the well management. Once we get through that, it'll probably take 2 to 3 years to finish the project, depending on tenants' timing and construction period, so on and so forth. So about 2 to 3 years to finish it, once we get through our entitlement.
Well, this is something that we basically have been needing on the north side of Prescott. And so I think this will definitely be a wonderful asset. And I don't know if you're aware, last week we voted not to widen the 89 through the Dells, with the idea that eventually someday we would get services on the north side so people wouldn't have to keep driving into town every time they needed a quart of milk or something. So this is a very auspicious timing.
Well, so far, everything we've done, we've gotten positive feedback, but it's still step by step.
Yeah. And Majestic Realty has a very good reputation. It's one of the big players.
Yeah, we have a regional office in Phoenix already, so we have a significant footprint in Arizona.
Thank you. Lois, any comments? Jim?
Yes, a couple of things. One question for legal would be, does the fact of the appeal allow us to attach a requirement that would not otherwise be attachable by code?
No, the appeal just gives you all of the additional considerations that you are to look at in order to determine whether you are going to grant the WSA or not.
The reason I ask is 7.6 acre feet of landscape water is capable of providing water for about 44 or 45 single-family residents. So perhaps the timing will allow us to change the code and get zero-scape landscaping on this project. And what would be the company's reaction to a request to voluntarily do that?
Well, we're going to work with city code. We haven't. We'll have our landscape architect sit down, go through code, talk to the city, and come up with a plan that should be acceptable to both for our development and for the city.
I just wanted to reiterate that up here in northern Arizona, Prescott, we take our water conservation very seriously. And, we've seen projects down in Phoenix with fountains and waterfalls and, ornamental grass and turf. And we probably would not appreciate that up here because we do manage our water very carefully.
No, it's working with the city is very important to us. If you've done some research on Majestic, our business model is long-term ownership. So we intend this, we don't come and just build a project and sell it. So we intend to become part of the fabric of the city. So working with the city, resolving issues is very important to us.
Okay, thank you. All righty. Do I hear a motion? No public comment?
Mayor, I move to recommend forwarding WSA 26-005 to council for approval.
Second.
Passes 3-0. Next item, presentation.
Congratulations.
Presentation and discussion regarding potential revisions to City Code Section 2-1-8 regarding sewer requirements for water service.
Okay, so today we're looking at a potential city code revision to City Code 2-1.8. And I'll give a little bit of background on the code. So City Code 2.1.8 deals with water usage outside city limits. Per the existing code, in general there's not an opportunity to serve outside the city limits, except for a few unique situations, such as an IGA with another municipality or government agency. And there is also exemption B, which allows a single-family residential dwelling unit to establish water connection if they can establish sewer connection. So what we've seen with City Code 2.1.8 is that this code's changed multiple times over the years. So there's been different aspects of how we address outside water usage over the years. Existing water lines were built outside of the city limits to various subdivisions and communities. Throughout those years, some of the houses connected to them, other ones were still unfinished lots or finished lots and did not connect to water service, and are within those communities now, but they don't have an opportunity to connect to city water because there's no sewer available within the area. So this has created this patchwork of different availabilities for service within the same community in our outlining area, which kind of makes it difficult for water management aspects of it. When people inquire about these, we go in and we have to do our due diligence and research to determine if there's an existing water service application or agreement or a contract or some type of agreement that we're obligated to serve with water, or if there's not, because we can see that there's existing customers right next to non-existing customers. And the last thing we want to do, we want to make sure we thoroughly look at it, because with that type of situation, it's important we don't get it wrong. And after 80 years of water contracts in the city, over 750 obligations in our existing catalog, it can get quite cumbersome to try to sort through all that and figure out what's going on. At the end of the day, there's been hardly anybody in the 3 years that I've been here that has been able to actually utilize Exemption B. Literally, there's been one or two that may have come close, but due to the fact that they had to bring the water through one existing parcel for 100 feet, and the implications of trying to get an easement through an existing parcel and the complications with that and everything else. I have not yet, I don't know of one lot that has used Exemption B at this point in time. So for this particular proposal, we asked City GIS to prepare and help us with some analysis and maps. And what they did is they looked at these water lines outside the city limits, skirting the area, skirting our city limits, and then the parcels that were adjacent to them. So they looked at the number of undeveloped parcels that are adjacent to city water lines, but there is no existing sewer line in the area. They also looked at the parcels that are adjacent to water lines, no sewer line available, but have an existing water service agreement in place. The number of lots, in that way they could subtract those out and they could establish the number of the lots that would benefit from a code change that would allow water to be granted service without the need to have that sewer connection. And then the last thing is they looked at that component, those lots, and we determined how much of them are already accounted for in our designation of assured water supply. In your packet was a bigger version of this map, but this is the overall map, and it kind of shows you the areas where you can see where we have these situations. In red on the map, it shows the parcels that are adjacent to a water line outside city limits that do have an existing water service agreement. There's 317 that we track there. And then the number of parcels that don't have water service agreements with that same situation, we see 164 of those shown in yellow. And then out of those 164, we have 41 potential lots that is already accounted for in our designation of assured water supply. One example of the area, a blow up of this area, is Vista del Cerro. So what you're seeing here is, I can get this guy to work. Maybe not. Well, on the picture to the right, the top part with all the red parcels in it is Unit 1. And we understand that we have obligations to all those red parcels because they have a water service agreement at the time of the subdivision. Unit 2 came in about a year to 2 years after Unit 1, but the city cannot find a water service agreement for that Unit 2 of that subdivision. And so at this point is subject to exemption B of city code, but it's not feasible to bring service for 12 lots from the existing sewer that's about half a mile away. So these lots at this point in time don't have any means to connect to city water. This is just a general blow up of the area, just to kind of give you an example. And I know it's a little hard to see on here. There's a blue trace line not coming up real well, but the high cluster of green dots, which represents existing connections at the very lower left corner, is in city limits, and then areas to the right are within city limits. But that all those green lots up to the above on the upper left-hand side and in towards the center, and then the Vista del Cerros themselves are not within city limits. So it gives you an idea of these outskirts and how much water we're
Brian, let me
Lots.
interrupt. Mm-hmm. When you say they're not in the city limits, they are in our water service area boundary.
Correct.
So I don't think people understand that we have two boundaries, because we serve a lot of water outside the city limits. So we have the actual city limits, and then we have another area that's called the water service area boundary. So they are obligated to get city water, but they're just not in the city limits.
I was going to kind of address that a little later, but we can talk about it right now. So we have a service boundary that's since we're a water service provider that's established, and we report annually on it. We provide maps, and we provide all our pumping information to ADWR. So everything on this page is within our service area boundary. Our service area boundary is used to establish and ensure that we can provide assured water to our customers. When we do our reporting, when we go in for our designation of assured water supply, we are looking at the lots within that boundary, and we're meeting all of the requirements for assured water supply in terms of the infrastructure, the physical water, the legal capability, the financial capability, and ensuring that we're doing things in accordance to the management practices of the AMA. And we have to do that to have our assured water supply. It doesn't mean that we have a legal obligation to serve all of the lots within our assured water supply. We can make decisions based on that. As a community, we can make decisions based on that. But it does mean that we need to contemplate water for all lots within our water service boundary area. And that's what we've done, and that's what we continue to do in our assured water supply designation.
Well, I'd like to commend city staff for coming up with these maps. It really illustrates what the problem is, because we have lots that have the green dots, which means they're getting water, and then right next to them is a red or yellow,
Yes.
which means they can't get water, even though they're paying their property taxes, HOA fees, and there's what, about 200? About 200?
164 lots were identified as being adjacent to water, not having a water service agreement, and not being able to connect into a sewer in a feasible manner.
Yeah, because back in the olden days, that's how these subdivisions went in. It was just a water line and then a septic.
Yeah, and that pulls us to the next example here, Vista del Cerro. I just did a couple examples here, but these are good examples in that they show a couple different uniqueness of this situation. So Vista del Cerro, which is up off of 89 up in the Dells area. Sorry.
Iron Springs.
I am sorry. I went the wrong way. Granite Gardens Unit 2. Sorry. Thank you for the correction. Granite Gardens Unit 2 is up off of 89 in the Dells area. That's my next example. That's where I wanted to go. And this subdivision has a mixture of different oddities to it. It has water lines within portions of the subdivision, but not adjacent to all the lots in the subdivision. It also has sewer lines in the subdivision in areas that are also not adjacent to all of the lots. So I wanted to bring this one up because even though we're trying to attempt with this code revision, what I'm trying to attempt to do is to try to define a service area boundary that is consistent with code in terms of water service. I'm trying to clean up some patchwork areas where water service was contemplated in the past, but code kind of veered away from that. In doing that, I think we can clean up a lot of areas. We can get stuff done more efficiently, and I wanted to address how much water we think we have to potentially put aside for that. But this is a good example that it will not clean everything up. In this particular subdivision, doing everything that I'm suggesting to our code change, we will still have a number of lots. As you can see, there are lots that are not yellow that will not be eligible for water service through this code change. But there has to be a line drawn somewhere. And we're trying to draw that line somewhere using the water service boundary, which Chairperson Rusine brought up. That is basically what we're contemplating with this. We're saying if you're in our water service boundary area, we're going to have a code adjustment that allows you to come in with water. But if you're not in that water service boundary or adjacent to it, then that's where we have to draw the line. And that's kind of what's shown here, why this whole subdivision is in yellow. There's only a certain portion of it that's yellow. And because you can see there's existing customers that are both on sewer and not on sewer because they got in water at different time periods with different rules. This is my attempt at code revision language, and I'll just give you the basic thought process here. Is that we would have GIS define a boundary based on the line work that they did and establish it as a layer within our GIS data system that staff then can pull up when an application comes in or a query comes in and determine whether they fall within this boundary or don't. If they fall within the boundary, they would be allowed to service water without the need for sewer connection. This layer would be a snapshot in time at when the code was adopted so that we can look at the parcels as is at that period in time, because what we don't want to have happen is lot splits that come in and then increase the water usage, and we have no way of tracking it because they're outside the city limits. We're not seeing these lot splits a lot of times because it's not they're not in the city. And so that would allow us to give us the tool so that we could quickly identify whether they're eligible for water and or not.
Yeah.
This code language that I'm doing here, I would before taking it to council, if we so choose to go that direction, I would take it through legal so that they can make sure that the language is up to par with legal. But this gives you the essence of it. If they were within this area, then they would be allowed to receive water, and then we would keep exemption C at this C, which was the old exemption B at this point too, meaning that if a single lot wanted to bring up a sewer line in order to extend and include into our water system, they would still have the capability of doing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that this would help out the county too, because they get a lot of calls about these issues too.
Yeah, one of the kind of weird scenarios too is that I have told people that they couldn't connect to city water, and then they move forward with the well, and then they had to get an exemption from the city saying that they're allowed to put a well in because they were in our water service area. So that kind of shows you some of the weirdness that can happen with that, with the kind of the current situation.
Yeah, it looks like it's been way overdue. It looks like it's time we kind of address this situation.
Yeah, so proposed requirements in order to do this, the existing home, you'd have to be adjacent to a water main, obviously. We would still look at things from the point of view of the water system and ensure that the water pressures, capacities, all of those things are adequate before we supply, because it would do no good by bringing other people into our water system and then having it fail for the existing customers on it or not have a good level of service. Obviously, the responsibilities for all costs of utilities and permitting falls and bears on the responsibility of the applicant, just like any other water service connection. Existing wells on the property would have to be abandoned to the Arizona Department of Water Resources, and we should be able to get back a groundwater allowance for that to kind of offset water usage. And then any lot splits after this code change would be in place would not qualify for this exemption. We would make sure we have the tools in place to understand that. The city would need to set aside about 28 acre feet. And I apologize, the 159 was from a version previous to the end. It turned into 164 for these 164 lots within this area. 7 acre feet out of the 28 approximately is already accounted for in our designation of assured water supply. So we're talking about setting aside an additional 20 acre feet for this process. City benefits, we'll be collecting impact fees for existing infrastructure, not have to build new infrastructure for it. We would collect a 30% surcharge for areas outside the city limits. Benefits from that surcharge usually result in conservation efforts, especially with the city tiered. So if they were getting waters from other sources, that might not be in place. It'll be in place if they're a city customer. any increased groundwater allowances for any abandoned wells that we require for this. Reduce staff time. It would simplify a method of determining. We could determine if they are eligible or not eligible within 5 or 10 minutes instead of an hour or two. And cleanup of water areas to try to get a water service area that kind of matches, or a code and water policy that matches our water service boundary as it is today. And then we'll have that. We'll have an understanding that we're setting aside this water for these lots, which quite honestly, I don't anticipate 20, 25 years to build out this 164 lots is probably what we're talking about. 1 to 2 acre feet a year is probably what I'm estimating we would be servicing. That's everything I have for you on this particular project. If you have any other questions, it's for contemplation on moving forward with the code change for this. And I'm here to answer anything you might have.
Well, thank you, Brian. Mr. Gehring, Lois, do you have any comments before we go to the public?
Well, I do have a couple of questions. On page 8 of your presentation, the lots that have no color and no dots in them, are they in the water service area?
I'm on the wrong page. Okay, sorry, can you say that again? I'm on the right page now.
Okay, so those lots that have no color and no dot, are they in the water service area?
So I believe they're within 100 feet of an existing water line. I think that's where we define a water service boundary. So some of them, there might be 1 or 2 that are in the water service boundary, and the ones further out would not be.
So if a water main extension is required to serve a lot, does the applicant pay for that extension?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm wondering if there's been any thought given to the idea of when sewer got close enough that at a certain cost element to extend the sewer, it would be required to be extended.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like with Granite Gardens, I talked to several people over the years and told them maybe you can get together with some of your neighbors and split the cost of the sewer extension, because in Granite Garden, it might make sense in certain areas that they could do that. But in Vista del Cerro or some of these other communities, the problem is that half or more of the community has already got water. They're already being serviced. So there's not going to be a whole lot of probably those people don't really have any reason why they would need to contribute to a sewer. Some of them might want to if they are having trouble with their septic systems or not. But that's the kind of the problem. If we're talking about new subdivisions where there was lots of lots that were all in the same scenario, there might be an ability for them to get together and do some community improvements. But we're just kind of seeing this has evolved over time, and we're at the end of it with, 5, 10, 12 lots that are left in a community that are subject to this, and they just don't have enough volume, there's just not enough of them to kind of, share the cost of especially bringing a sewer line in from half a mile.
Yeah, I lived on septic and wells for 45 years, and I can tell you that the cost to maintain septic systems can be very substantial. So I'm just thinking there might be an incentive. And we don't have a requirement that when a septic system fails that they have to extend sewer or not.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
All right, thank you.
They could, an option would be to form a water and sewer improvement district if the people wanted to get together and share the cost of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Lois?
Yeah, the WIS committee had this exact presentation and this exact discussion on September 2nd, 6 months ago. We had this exact same discussion, and it was unanimous that the answer was no, we weren't going to handle it today. We gave a lot of direction to staff, and I'm sitting here now 6 months later, and you would think we never had that discussion. Nothing has changed. No more work has been presented from staff than the exact same discussion we had 6 months ago. So I don't know why we have discussions and we give direction when nothing changes and it just keeps coming back. And so I'm right where I was 6 months ago, which is we gave a lot of direction. We talked about forming districts similar to Mountain Club and other things where people could invest in the infrastructure needed to get back the sewer, which is what we want for our water policy. And so I'm having an out-of-body experience. I sent that to you this weekend. That for me, this looks like politics. The only thing that changed in 6 months is we have some new people here on the dais. We have no new work. We have no new analysis. Nothing else has changed. And this looks like politics, not good policy to me. So I'm pretty disappointed, honestly. I would have liked to have seen a lot more work and a lot more following through of what our previous mayor and other members of the council were unanimously aligned on. So I'm disappointed today.
Yeah. My stance is it doesn't hurt to revisit something again. And because we still have the problem here where people have been paying property taxes, HOA fees, they can't build, they can't sell their property, and they bought everything in good faith.
And if I could address a little bit, the work you're seeing before you here is a refinement from what you saw 6 months ago. We went back in with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that we were bringing the lots and making sure we understood what was needed. We looked into various other aspects that could be done, and it came out to this. We either change the code and allow these people to be incorporated in with the situation they are in at this point in time, or they find a way to do this in a way that we can't help them with. They annex into the city. They create some type of DWID or some type of group in order to create the infrastructure they need. So as far as I can see it, that's the opportunities here.
And
we have
that
the
was
opportunity
exactly
to
what
change
we
the
outlined
code.
6 months ago.
Yeah, we took a look at it to see is there any creative way we could reapproach this, but what you're seeing in front of you is the way that we can approach this. We can either change the code in order to do it, or the people have to figure out a way to do it on their own.
Thank you. Do you have any public comment?
We have 6 right now. First one is David Shingledecker.
Morning, Mayor Wartem, Councilman. My name is David Shingledecker. I'm the HOA president of Vista del Cerro, and I've got 3 of these effective lots. I like what Brian has done. He's put a lot of work and thought into this because from my point of view, this is a potpourri of issues that have built up over the years, and it's very hard to come up with one solution that fits all. So let me at least talk about my little piece of the pie, and now there's a lot of people behind me who want to talk about their piece of the pie. Vista del Cerro, 40-year-old community, Phase 1, Phase 2. We found the service agreement for Phase 1. I'm convinced the service agreement exists for Phase 2 that never got recorded. Same engineer, same developer, it's not there. I believe there was always an intent by the city to provide water to that development. When Phase 2 came along, the city came in and says, upgrade all your lines, upgrade them to 8 inches, put the fire hydrants here. build your own water pumping station and turn it over and give it to the city, which we did. So all the lots, they have water lines in front. There are service lines tapped off already. There are water boxes on each of these lots. Their neighbors on the left and right of them are already connected because they build houses. And we're part of the designated assured water supply, that Brian talked about. So people thought when they looked at the plat map signed off by the city that they had water. And so when this amendment happened 2 years ago, we didn't find out about it till last year. It wasn't communicated. Last year, we had one of our lots come to the city and say, hey, we want to build. And they said, no, you don't get water. So for only 10 lots. And so 2 lots immediately fell out of escrow. Those people are financially impacted. Another lot that was beginning development has stopped until this gets resolved. He's already got a permit, though, to drill a well. He's ready to go. It's kind of a mess out there right now. So, some of the lots, you can't drill a well and you can't put a septic system in due to keep-out zones. And so some of the lots now have 0 value. So and where we're built on top of this rock, so far from sewer, it's not practical. You can't get sewer in there, and it was exactly the commenter's right. You got 30 units in that area, and you say 10 of them can't get water unless you have a sewer. The other 20 aren't going to vote saying, hey, we'll all throw 50, 60, 70,000 in each to help the 10 people who can't get water. It's not going to happen. I mean, as a president of the HOA, it's not going to happen. I'm scared we're going to have people who paying their HOA dues are going to walk away from their properties. Like, hey, it doesn't have any value, just walk away. That would cause other issues for us. So it's not an easy solution. It's a potpourri. I fully understand how years of changing policy things have led to it. But it seems like a fairly elegant solution that the water department came up with. And for the sake of homeowners who are stuck right now, some financially strapped who need to sell their lots, I would very much appreciate it if you would give it positive consideration and pass it forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Debbie Avia.
Good morning. My name is Debbie. I am a realtor in this area. I specialize in this area and I live in this area. I currently have 2 of these lots listed and didn't know anything about this. And I'm a little embarrassed to admit that because I'm big on disclosure and checking out my properties before I list them. These lots were listed before this zone change. My sellers were never notified of this zone change. We didn't know anything about it until maybe 6 weeks ago when I talked to Dave. They don't quite understand why they didn't know about this. This is the backside of Jackson Acres next to Grandview Estates, so not too far from what Dave's talking about, but we don't have massive lots. We might have maybe 5 located on North Hawley. These are every one of these lots are surrounded by homes that have water. Thank goodness we found about this before I sold these lots, or we would have all been in very deep trouble for not disclosing this information that my sellers nor I were even aware of. So we appreciate you guys re-looking at this. Water lines are right in front of my properties I have listed and behind them as Hawley goes around. My lots go from one side to the other, so they could pull water from the front or from the back. These lots are full of granite, and sewer is nowhere close. We're talking probably $200,000 to $400,000 to pull sewer in there. To drill a well on these, which mine are kind of on like a mountain, would be another horrible story. That probably wouldn't happen either. So they're virtually almost to say landlocked. My listing's been changed that they need well water because we don't have a choice at this point, but I can pretty much tell you they're not going to sell. We're just holding on and keeping them on the market as my seller has requested until you guys make a decision. I do hope when a decision is made that these lot owners understand what they have, because we have 5 lots. I've talked to all those owners. None of them were aware of this. and we're pretty shocked that they're holding on to property that they virtually can't build on. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie.
Next is Kelsey Secor.
So, good morning, Mayor Roosing, members of the subcommittee, Mr. Reese. My name is Kelsey Secor. I am a lifelong resident of Prescott. I was born and raised here. My husband and I are both graduates of Prescott High School, and we have raised our children in the same community that shaped us. So our roots in this community here are pretty deep, and it has always been our dream to build our forever home in the town that we love. So last spring, we purchased a lot. It's actually right there on the very top of your screen in red. We are in the service area agreement. We are technically in the county, but very much, like slightly in the county. We are very much residents of Prescott. Like many local families, we have worked hard to make this possible in a market that continues to become more challenging for young families. From the beginning, we have tried to follow every step of the city's process in good faith. We understand and support Prescott's commitment to responsible water management. I get it. We recognize that water is a limited resource, and we respect the city's policies designed to protect it for current and future residents. However, in our case, the application of these policies has left us with no practical path forward. This has been really hard for our family. There is an existing water main along the easement of our property. As you can see, water runs directly to our property line. Almost every surrounding home in our subdivision is served by city water and private septic systems. We are the last lot in that subdivision that does not have water. We approached the city about connecting to the water main at our property line, and were informed that in order to receive water service, we would need to first extend the city sewer approximately 1,200 feet and return 75% of the water served back through that sewer system. The cost of that requirement is estimated to exceed $200,000 for our one lot, and would require multiple easements across neighboring properties. That level of expense and logistical complexity is simply not realistic for a family building a single-family home. In an effort to find alternatives, we drilled a well to nearly 700 feet. That was not a cheap endeavor, but we were unable to find a sufficient water supply. With that effort exhausted, our only remaining practical option is to haul water to our property. So if we must haul water, we will haul it from the city's bulk water station. So meaning, and I want to be clear on this, we would be transporting city water to a property that already has a city water main at the property line. For both a conservation and an infrastructure standpoint, that outcome seems counterintuitive because we will be using city water. That's our only option at this point. We have tried to work within the city's framework. We have followed the process. We have explored wells. We have reviewed sewer extensions. We are not asking to bypass water policy. We are asking for a thoughtful amendment to current policy in order to create flexibility where infrastructure already exists. So connecting to the water main at our property line is not only the most practical solution for our family, along with many other families, but it is also the more logical and beneficial solution for the city. It avoids unnecessary hauling of water, reduces truck traffic, ensures metered and regulated water use, and utilizes infrastructure that is already in place. So I respectfully ask this subcommittee to review this current sewer requirement as it applies to properties like ours, where a water main already exists adjacent to the parcel. I believe there is room for a common sense solution here that upholds Prescott's water stewardship goals while also allowing responsible families to build homes in this community. So thank you for considering this, and thank you for all of your work on this topic.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Next is Larry Fagan.
Good morning. My name is Larry Fagan. My father was the developer of Vista del Cerro, and so a number of the things have been discussed already. But I just wanted to enforce that he was very seriously worked to get sewers. And there were a whole number of issues, but it was a number of sales fell out when the people found out that they were on individual septic systems. It's been referred to because a lot of times there's costs involved. So he was motivated to get those, but there was no way to really do that. and I think when you go through the history of that, it was clear that the city intended to have all those lots have water. The water mains were put in, the city inspected them, they were turned over to the city. The water meters are on each lot. And so just because we couldn't find that water agreement, I think the intent was clearly there. I think also that there's a number of the lot owners that aren't even aware that they aren't able to hook up. So I think when you get those people too, they aren't going to be happy either. And as far as the rationale of requiring the sewer, I understand that, and it makes a lot of sense. The problem is that then when that was done, essentially proactively, then there were some unintended consequences. And you have a lot of these, and a lot of them are difficult, when you look at the granite one that you were talking about. You've got some of those lots that's a tough decision to deal with. But I think overall this resolution takes care of the majority of them, and I think it's fair that they're done that way. I'd like to thank the city too for the work that they've done to identify all of these so that now you can understand the scope of the work. And I appreciate that the committee trying to deal with this problem because it is a tough decision. But I would like to encourage you to approve this revision, and thank you for your time.
Next is Amy Hitt. I'm wondering if you could put the Granite Gardens shot up there. So thank you for the opportunity. I was notified by Mr. Shingledecker of this meeting on Friday. I represent, let me start at the beginning. My name is Amy Hitt. I am a broker and owner of a very small brokerage here in Prescott. I represent the seller who acquired over 60 lots in Granite Gardens and wants to sell them. And trust me, this isn't about my money, because if I could just hand them off to somebody, I would. But out of those 60 lots, I have already sold 15 of them. And when he started, due to the amount, a public report was submitted to the Arizona Department of Real Estate under the assumption that there was an assured water supply, as well as what Mr. Ruiz was saying, that if each individual property owner can apply for water for a single family dwelling unit if they can connect to city water and city main. So you'll see through Granite Gardens there is sewer. There is a sewer line that goes all the way through it. So we basically tried to sell these in phases. You can see all of these yellow ones. They're pretty much the easiest to sell because they're right on the road, right by the sewer, right by the water lines. And so we, at that time, were not aware of the fact that that you had to go through an existing parcel, or some of those things that you were just stating as well. So, I mean, from a personal side of things, I'm pretty concerned that actually now two, because he's getting ready to sell some in Unit 1 as well, two of these public reports have been submitted to the Department of Real Estate. And as a small broker and brokerage owner, I'm very concerned about the legal ramifications of that for both the seller, for me, for the city of Prescott as well. Additionally, as Mr. Gehring pointed out, I worry about those lots that are unshaded. I can tell you just by looking at that map, and this is how I know these lots, specifically lots 81, 82, 96, 95, and in Unit 1, 11, 12, 13, 15, and 16. All of those are right on the water line and the sewer line. So I also wanted to point out that this is not about somebody going in and developing Granite Gardens, because it's a gorgeous area.
this is about people having an opportunity to live in that gorgeous area and put some really great homes on there and, contribute to the value of the city in that area. If you've ever been to that area, you know that it's a combination of really cool homes, metal structures and dilapidated single wides. So the more really cool homes that people are willing to build only benefits everyone, I would say, in the city. And especially in that area. So I guess in conclusion, if you can seriously consider that, just from me personally and on behalf of my seller, who's also just a really honest guy. We're both just very honest people trying to sell off really amazing lots to people who want to live and really appreciate these dells. But we're both honest people, and we've provided inaccurate information completely unknowingly, and also based on a lot of different information that we've received that indicates otherwise. So I'm sure that that's part of the issue that Mr. Ruiz has been having in his department, because people purchase these lots. Now they want to do something great with them. And so, I don't know how this could be done without the landowners knowing about it, that they could have water rights and then that be taken away from them. But I trust you all to make the right decision for your citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Next is Sarah Rose Weber.
Okay. Hello, good morning, members of the committee. Thank you for taking the time today to listen to me. My name is Sarah Rose Weber. My husband and I, James Ferzer, who's here as well. In January, we purchased a property right here in Granite Gardens. We have two small boys who love to climb rocks, so we're very excited about this opportunity. In doing our own due diligence and looking at building a single-family residence for ourselves, we did reach out to the city in September of last year before closing, and we were told that the water is available. So when we heard about this meeting and this issue after closing, obviously it's very concerning to us. So we're here today. We want to say that we're very in support of this. It seems to add a lot of certainty, not just for the community, the water supply, but also for us as the property owners, and for other and future property owners as they're planning, so that they can understand what they're getting into, as so many here I think have so well explained. So again, thank you. And I hope you all pass this. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all for public comment.
Looks like we have one more gentleman has his hand up. Do you please state your name?
My name is Ron Clark. I am a resident of Vista de Cerro and a former board member. First of all, I'd like to thank Nathan Graham and the Water Department. We recently had a line break in our community, and they got right on that. And we greatly appreciate them taking care of that like they did. I think when we talk about Vista de Cerro in particular, if you go back and research the documents, I truly believe that there was a water agreement in place. Unfortunately, we don't have a copy of that, and you don't either, so this is where we're at. But I also believe that by not extending the services, not only to Vista de Cerro and some of the other communities, there are some unintended consequences. As a board member, one of the things that we're very concerned about, and I would like to extend an invitation to any council member that would like to come out, walk our community so you can see what we're looking at. But one of the unintended consequences that I feel like could be a problem. As a board member, we had two major issues that were always a concern to us. One was fire, and the other was bark beetles. If we don't get some of these lots water, then people will walk away from these lots. Once people walk away from these lots, we don't have any avenue, and most HOAs don't, of managing the brush and bark beetle infestations on those lots. We've had bark beetles in our community. We've had the power to oversee the lot owner to make sure that that's taken care of before it spreads. And the same thing happens with fire. Many of these areas are mountainous. So if brush and underbrush is not taken out, then it extends far beyond just that lot and can impact the entire community. That's a major issue if we don't get water on some of these lots. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the Mr. Gehring?
And where to start? I think people don't realize what the value of the lost wastewater will be someday in the future when Prescott goes on to direct reuse. But you know, that's a long ways into the future. So I'm thinking that while far from perfect, this is a step in the right direction, but it can only be an interim step in my view. In other words, we've got to set forth rules, regulations, and incentives on sewer extensions in the future. And if we do that and ensure that the sewers eventually, perhaps 40, 50 years from now, get extended, then we'll recover that very valuable wastewater.
Thank you. My stance is that these lots have been here for a long time. There's paperwork that's been lost, things that weren't recorded. There was an intent to provide water. And like I said, these older subdivisions never had sewer. And we come up with a new water policy, and it makes no sense to have a neighbor on a septic tank and then the guy right next to him, oh, well, you got to run a sewer line in, which was never the intent of the subdivision to have. So I think that, this is the best we can do at the time, but to let these people, they bought these lots in good intent, they're trying to sell them. And I think that I want to thank Brian and the Water Resource Department for coming up with some kind of a solution. It's not perfect. It's not going to solve every single lot, but I think it'll solve a majority of them. Lois, do you have any comments? I'd like to make a motion. I move to recommend forwarding revision of City Code 2-1-8 to Council for approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Please vote.
Passes 2-1.
Thank you. Is there anything else? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.